And I'm trying to get a good... I hope you can see me okay. I lost the signal here for just a moment. Welcome back to Naturally with Karen. I'm Karen, and I've been gathering original medicine for most of my entire life. When I woke up this morning, or what some of you call a rise, grand or great rising, I woke up and I looked at my phone because I knew I was taking a family member to the dentist. So I had to drive a half an hour up and get him and come back to the dentist. But I didn't expect another great message that always makes me smile. I had a message from one of my clients who will be anonymous at this time telling me, guess what, Karen? The pressure in my head is decreasing. Now, what does that mean? She had a diagnosis. They were testing her for multiple sclerosis. She's not even 40 years old. And she's a woman that had a lot of facial swelling. Her vision was starting to really go. She was starting to wonder if she was going to have extreme vision problems. She was being tested, like I said, for MS. The doctors didn't know quite what it was. In fact, they were ruling out whether or not she had a brain tumor. In my experience of many, many decades, I have sought out to read through PubMed. I've read many doctors' books. I've worked with hundreds of people. And I've learned what's really behind this. It's not just one thing like we talked about yesterday. It's many things. Bless up. Good to see you, Spring. So when I woke up this morning and I had a message on my messenger inbox that said, Karen, the pressure is decreasing. And she sent me a picture of her face. Her face was so beautiful. It wasn't big and swollen. She was really worried because in our last session a little over a week ago, she said my eyesight's getting worse and worse. And the doctors called me and they want me to go in and do a lumbar puncture to check my cerebral spinal fluid. What would you do? Now I have to be really careful in terms of liability, and I have to be willing to say, if it were me, that would not be my choice, okay? Good to see you guys, waving back to Spring here. I told her, you know, the choice is yours. And anytime it starts to feel like it's a true emergency, you should go into the doctor and just get things checked out just so you feel safe. I've only coached with her 5 times now, and I've coached with her an additional time for her son and for her parents that reside in Mexico. Now, when I looked at her hair tissue report, I was able to see exactly what was going on. Then I asked her more questions about her diet, her habits, her symptoms, and I put together pieces that were not just about what food do you eat, as you can see me in the produce section here at Whole Foods, not just about let's go get you on artichokes, or let's have you drink celery juice, or let's have you have yams every day. It wasn't about what I could put in her mouth that was going to heal her. It was a combination of her diet, detoxification, mind-body, herbalist. It was a combination of many, many different things. So I put together a plan for her, and she was serious enough to work that plan. She was serious enough to start detoxification after we gathered and made sure that we had everything that we needed, or I know from 35 years of doing this coaching. I helped her to stabilize her, and then I helped her to start detoxifying. So she was scared, and there's a little bit of fear that comes up in me too, because that's someone's wife. That's someone's daughter. I worked with her mother and father. That's someone's mother. I worked with her son, who's a teenager in high school. Did his hair test report, did theirs. I don't want to lose someone's mother, someone's daughter, someone's wife, and someone who matters in the world. Someone who other people are depending on me to make the right decision. But since she's self-employed, she and her husband who were paying out of pocket. They were paying out of pocket for every test that she had done. And she was tested and tested, and her husband finally started saying, you're going to the doctor all the time, and we're paying out all this money, but nothing's really being done. Hasn't that really become obvious to a great many people? That they're going to the doctor, and all these testings, all these tests and scans. In fact, one of the last that she had to rule out a brain tumor involved drinking a contrast solution. And I'm going to encourage you to look up what happened with Chuck Norris's wife, Chuck Norris. He's bringing a lawsuit because he's been told, like many of you have, that the contrast solution isn't really going to do anything bad to you. But it does. okay? So instead of putting you in big scanning machines and constantly pulling blood out of your arm and constantly trying to check and try different medications, which are drugs, they don't know anything about diet. They don't know anything about mind-body. They're not herbalists. They haven't worked bodies on a table with body work like I have for almost 17 years, which is hard work, manually moving inflammation. They haven't seen what I've seen, nor have they worked with many of the different trace elements that I have, and I've learned to use them in an extremely unique way that actually goes in and shrinks breast cysts, nodules, and tumors, brain cysts, nodules, and tumors, fibroids in the uterus, which are non-cancerous benign tumors. And instead of just using a scanning machine, I'm actually able to look at you through the screen, ask you key select questions, and figure it out. So when I woke up this morning, or this rise, I received a message that said, Karen, with a beautiful picture of her smiling because she was worried. She was losing her eyesight. She was supposed to go in for that lumbar puncture where they take that big long needle and they poke it into the lumbar section of your spine, just like a woman would get a C-section, or you might get tested for any number of things, and they were going to pull out cerebrospinal fluid, test it for autoantibodies, right? And to see what was going on. Did she have systemic infection, bacterial or viral? What was going on, right? And 9 times out of 10, it comes back that the person's just fine. I think it's my phone. It's the lights here or something. So I woke up to a message that said, the pressure is decreasing, with a big smile on her face. And I gotta tell you, I had just checked in with her 2 days ago and I said, are you still taking your basal body temperatures for me? Because that's a part, a very, very small part of our plan was for me to see if she's improving and stabilizing on a consistent basis. So when a person does detoxification, it's not like anyone can just start doing detoxification. You can and you can't. And what I mean by that is when you start taking someone who's really, really degenerated, they're all the way into disease and nearly into multiple sclerosis and brain tumors, or they've got active lesions, masses, and cysts, nodules, or tumors on the brain, in their breast, all over the place, perhaps even on their ovaries. We call it polycystic ovarian syndrome. It requires that you keep the person safe first. And no one can guarantee you that, but you better have a good amount of experience using some of the things that I use so that you can be prepared enough to keep people safe, okay? So that's it for now. I just wanted to share with you intracranial, inside the cranium, pressure that was taking her eyesight way down, and you could see the whole side of her face was swollen. And little by little, we started in May. She's getting better and better. I've asked her if she'd be willing to write something up and post that picture on my Naturally with Karen Facebook page, and she's at work right now. So we'll wait and see. She may not. I would say 90% of my clients are unwilling to do that for whatever reason. They have their own reasons, and so some of them are not. So before we go, since I'm inside a Whole Foods, you can make a lot of meat substitutes using this right here, okay? These are dried shiitake mushrooms, and what you're going to do is just soak them in water. Let me just put them back here. And then you're going to mix them in your food processor with a few spices like onion and garlic powder and a little bit of salt. And you could do it with shiitake. It's going to give you a great meat flavor, but that's what I need to let you know for now. So they're looking at me like, what is she doing over here? So thank you so much, and I appreciate you guys listening.